So it is being recorded by both Zoom and WRPS. I'm going to read the legal notice. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held at 7:30 p.m. on April 7th, 2020 in the Lawrence, well, in everybody's living room, Rockland, Mass. On the petition filed under Chapter 40B Comprehensive Permit by Shingle Mill LLC. Care of Conoco, 41st Street, Bridgewater, Mass. 02324 to allow the construction of 236 units of residential housing, known as the project, within two 5-story buildings on approximately 29.33 acres of land located at 0 Pond Street and 152 Wilson Street, the site. The applicant is proposing 25% of the units to be classified as affordable as per Mass General Law, Chapter 40B. The site is located on 0 Pond Street, Lot 13, Map 9, and 152 Wilson Street, Lot 68, Map 10. Copy of this application is on file with the town clerk's office and is available for inspection during regular office hours. Me, advertised March 23rd, 2020 and March 30th, 2020 in the Patriot Ledger. Okay, first thing we usually do
Chairman,
is...
you should do a motion to open the public hearing, and
Okay.
you have to do a roll call vote, but you need to designate who's going to be voting on this first.
First thing that we usually do is designate who's going to be voting on it. It's going to be Stan, Greg, myself, Tim, and Dave. From there, we have to do I need a motion to open the public meeting. Anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
All right, I got Stan, and then who second?
I'll second it.
All right, I'll give the second to Greg. Roll call. Stan?
Here.
Yes. Stan has to say yes.
Stan, yes?
Yes.
Gregor?
Yes.
Myself is a yes. Tim?
Yes.
And Dave?
Yes.
That's a vote.
Okay. So the public hearing is now open. And let me just give you a quick synopsis of how I think this is best to be handled tonight. First of all, I want to take the opportunity to introduce to you Judy Barrett, who is waving to you for those that are participating on the video conference. And I'm going to ask Judy to introduce herself to you because she is going to be a resource to the board during the public hearing process. After Judy introduces herself, I would like the applicant or the applicant's representative to introduce himself to the board, but not to give his presentation. And then thirdly, I'd like the board to introduce Pat Brennan, who is the peer review consultant that you've used in the past. And maybe we could get Pat engaged on this particular project. And then finally, we would just conclude by continuing the public hearing to a date certain at some point in the future, and you can discuss what date that's going to be. In the meantime, between this hearing tonight and another time, I believe Ms. Barrett is going to offer to give you a refresher on 40Bs. And then when we reconvene the public hearing, you'll be smart and ready to go and fully prepared.
Yeah. Smart.
Judy, please, I've been looking forward to this. Thank you very much for attending.
I'm delighted. Do you want me to speak right now or a little bit later? Or
Please, Judy, I'd like you to just introduce yourself to the board. I mean, we're used to
Sure.
seeing each other. We know what our qualifications are. I'd like you to speak about yourself a little bit.
Sure. So I'm here because your town asked the Mass Housing Partnership for a technical assistance consultant. And I've been doing this work with ZBAs really all around the state, literally out as far as the county, for about 12 years now. I also happen to be on the Board of Appeals in my own town, so I feel your pain. My role varies a little bit from board to board. I kind of let the board tell me what they need. You're fortunate to have counsel here, so many of the boards I work with don't have a lot of access to their town council. I'm delighted to see Bob here. But, sometimes the boards that I work with will ask me to help with things like peer review procurement. I know that Pat's already kind of on board, or I think tonight, which is great. But sometimes I do that. I often will attend the hearings with the board and try to just help with some procedural issues, managing angry people, if there are any angry people in the room. Sometimes I help draft the decision. And so it really kind of varies from town to town. I sort of take my lead from the boards I work with, as well as from council, again, when we do have council involved. So I'm going to try to just sort of take my lead from you folks. I would say, as anything comes in from the applicant, it would be really helpful to me if I get a copy. Electronic stuff is great. I keep all these files in a Dropbox, and so that would be helpful. If there are paper copies only, I would just ask that you make sure, in fact, if the applicant's on, I would say to you, can you always make sure I get a copy? And that way I won't be, harassing you guys at the 11th hour for something I probably should have had all along. So I think if we can just keep the paperwork straight and communication with the chair straight and timely, I'll help you in any way I can. My role has, as I said, has varied somewhat from town to town. So, but I'm at your disposal.
Thank you, Judy. As we musicians say, we'll play it by ear.
Yes. And I have a 12-string guitar, so I'm very jealous of those guitars that are behind you right now.
Oh, Brett, come on in. Anytime you can come into my studio, you can come into my studio. We'll talk. Let's talk to the applicant. I don't know who's representing the applicant here.
Mr. Chairman, my name is Walter Marioni. I'm an attorney. I am representing Mr. Lincoln. Thank you for having me this evening. Thank you to the board members, Judy, Attorney Galvin. I work for a law firm in Quincy, Mass, Marioni, Shaughnessy, and Udy. Again, we represent Mr. Lincoln. Mr. Lincoln, unfortunately, is having a medical issue at the moment. I think some people are aware of that. He's not available tonight. Normally, he would participate in these meetings. Just very quick background about our firm and about myself. The firm's a full-service real estate firm. Again, we're located in Quincy. We have offices in Duxbury, as well as in New Hampshire. I reside in Easton. I recently finished up a 20-year stint chairing my Board of Appeals in Easton. So as somebody just said, I feel your pain. I understand what this is all about. These meetings are difficult like this. We've done a few in Easton recently. So I will take the point on this to the certain extent that, play Mr. Lincoln's role while he is unavailable. Hopefully he'll be back to health soon and be back joining us. He has a team of engineers from Conoco that will work actively on this. I don't know if anybody from Conoco is on this call. Ernesto Caparato, who sold Mr. Lincoln the property, has been assisting Mr. Lincoln on this project, I believe is on this call, and he will help out as necessary as well.
Good evening, all.
I think that's enough
Caparato, Seven Hills Corporation.
And I'll turn it back to the chair. And again, thank you.
All right, we've looked at the package. We will need peer review on this. Mr. Brennan, is that something you're willing to take on?
Yes, Pat Brennan with Amory Engineers. Yes, I'd be more than happy to assist the board with peer review on this. I've been peer reviewing for the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals and the Planning Board since 2000, so I'm quite familiar with the town and the process that the ZBA goes through on these projects.
Okay, let's talk. We're going to need.
Does Attorney Marioni need a scope of services or anything from Mr. Brennan before?
That was my net. That's where I was going.
Yeah.
So we're obviously going to be cooperative and flexible under the circumstances. I think it would make sense to have an understanding of the peer review, although I think we all understand what's going to take place here. So if it's something that Mr. Brennan can prepare and the board is okay with proceeding that way, I think I would like to request it, given the nature of the process with the fact that Mr. Lincoln isn't really available right now. So if you don't mind, and again, I'm not trying to make this more difficult. This is difficult as it is. So I would like to request the scope of services if we could do it that way. And again, really mainly because Mr. Lincoln is not available, and I think would be helpful on our end.
No, that's understood.
We customarily also request that the applicant place a deposit for peer review.
Understood.
I don't know whether that deposit has been paid in this particular case, but Pat, have you got a typical deposit that, usually gets you going pretty good?
I think the board usually asks for 5,000, but I'm not positive.
That's the number.
Could you
It is,
put that in your scope of services too for Attorney Marioni?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's fine.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Next, what I'll end, I'm going to defer to Mr. Galvin at this point.
Well, I think at this point, because of the inherent limitations on the remote participation process, I think, and the fact that the state has already changed the rules for almost all public hearings before local boards, it was really my belief, and I explained this to Attorney Marioni, that we really should just get this meeting open, because up until last Friday, you technically had to have this meeting in order to comply with the law. On Friday, the law changed, and you wouldn't have been subject to any type of sanction for not opening. Well, you're no longer subject to sanction for not opening a meeting in time. That's why this meeting really was scheduled. So my belief is that, the board should look at its calendar and pick a date out. I'd suggest you pick a date probably at the beginning of June, mid-June, hoping that the government will open up and this terrible COVID situation will have diminished or alleviated to the point where we could have either another remote session meeting or possibly even a live meeting, because it's just easier when people can see what the applicant is referring to on plans. Everybody can see, if they're looking at their screen now, the inherent limitations, and looking at a plan that's on a computer screen as opposed to seeing it in person where there's some interactive ability. So my recommendation would be that the board continue it to maybe a special night when you're not doing anything else, because I think it's never good to schedule this and your other business on the same night. And I'd suggest a Wednesday in June, for example, and we can play it by ear. If this COVID situation has improved, then perhaps we can conduct it in a regular session. If it hasn't, and we need to get going, we can give it a whirl and do it remotely. That'll also give you the opportunity to do a remote session with Ms. Barrett, to the extent that she can give you a little refresher on the 40B process.
I like that. I'm just checking calendar right now. All right, so if we go.
Bob, are you thinking we might wait until June to do the refresher for the board, or can we do that sometime between now and then?
Oh,
If
you
we
can
can do that
immediately.
sometime between now and then, that would be excellent, if
Yeah.
that works for you.
Yep.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah,
Right.
anytime that's convenient for you, Judy, would be good for the board, and evening or whatever you'd like to do. Propose a couple
Okay.
times and we'll work it out.
Okay.
And then the public hearing, though, would continue on a June date.
Okay.
So far, what I'm getting back is we have nothing in June. So we're looking at either the 10th or the 17th.
So I have an existing commitment on the 17th, but the 10th is open for me.
Okay, let me just keep confirming here.
Yep, you want to make sure you've got Stan, Greg, Tim, and Dave minimally, and any alternates available.
ZBA members, does anybody have any conflicts?
Another Tuesday night,
No, that's a Wednesday night.
that's fine with me.
Bob, I'm gonna have to recuse myself from being an alternate or a vote on this matter.
Okay, I understand. I understand. I think that's good that you're stepping up. All right, now I'm getting the 2nd or the 16th.
No, I think the 10th is that the date that we were
That's a
talking about?
Wednesday night.
It's what I was, that's the first number, that's the first date that came up. That was, don't have a room schedule, not sure if avails, who has to determine that. Yeah, I'm gonna make a command decision here, June 10th.
Okay.
June 10th, we're gonna reschedule for June 10th.
At 7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock, that's fine by me.
So you'll do a motion to continue the public hearing to June 10th at 7 o'clock. And if we can do it live, we will. If we can't, we'll probably have to start it remotely.
Okay.
And
Chairman,
that
may I
would
ask a
be
question,
my
please?
recommended motion.
Okay. I'm gonna add to that. I'm gonna say that we, again, the meeting itself will start at 7. I'd like to try to set this up so we all start coming in at like 6:30 to make sure that we've got everybody and there's no issues with passcodes or anything like that. Does that, does
Fair.
anybody want to?
Is that gonna be only for remote, or if the live one, we can be there?
Yeah, if it's the live, I mean, everybody's usually there like a half an hour early anyway, if it's a live meeting. But I mean, if we're doing this, I think that 6:30, everybody should be sitting in front of their computer trying to put in passcodes.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Can I get a motion on this?
Yeah, I'll make a motion.
All right,
Second.
I got a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
No,
Aye.
Everybody, yes?
Oh,
Cool.
you get a roll call vote, though.
Oh, we got a roll call vote, my bad. Stan?
Yes.
Gregor?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Tim?
Yes.
Dave?
Yes.
It is.
Okay, then you just, at this point, Mr. Brennan can provide the proposal through me, and I'll get it over to Attorney Marion. And then we'll get the peer review going, and Judy will be back to you with some dates to have some refresher on 40B. And then you just need to move to adjourn, and that vote also is in a roll call vote.
Okay. One question.
Before you do
Judy.
that, I have one question for Bob. Bob, the meeting with Judy, should that be a posted meeting?
It will not, because it's not a meeting where you're meeting as a board to deliberate. You're meeting to be given it's basically you're attending a seminar.
Okay. Just
Right.
wanted to make sure.
Yes,
And I'm assuming, Bob, you have everybody's email address, and you can.
I do.
Okay, so and I'll assume that'll get to everybody, and we can have a group email, figure out dates and everything.
Yes, and that will not be a public meeting. It'll just be an educational session.
Works for me. So at this point, we need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
All right, I got that. I got who's got a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Greg has got the second. All in favor? Roll call. Stan?
Yes.
Gregor?
Yes.
Myself, I'm a yes. Tim?
Yes.
And Dave?
Yes.
That's 5.
All right.
Attorney Galvin,
Yes,
would you have a moment to speak with me, or could I contact you via phone?
yes. Let me see.
You have my
I can
email.
I can text him your number,
Text
Bob.
on my cell phone, and you can call me. Okay,
When would be convenient for me to call you?
right now.
Okay,
Take
as
care.
soon as Bobby texts it, I'll call you right back.
I'll take care of that right as we're speaking.
Okay,
We
everybody.
good?
Everybody,
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much for everybody for attending and everybody on the phone calls. Thank you.
Good
Thank
evening.
Thank
you.
you. Good night.
Good night.
Stay safe.